The Los Angeles Police Department has vowed not to follow with Donald Trump's wishes and will not help deport immigrants under his term as president. And this is keeping with a long-standing tradition. On quote 1, the LAPD prohibits officers from initiating contact with someone solely to determine whether he or she is in the country legally, mandated by a special order signed by then-Chief Daryl Gates in 1979. LAPD Chief Charlie Beck has backed this by saying, "I don't intend on doing anything different. We are not going to engage in law enforcement activities solely based on someone's immigration status. We are not going to work in conjunction with Homeland Security on deportation efforts. That is not our job, nor will I make it our job."
So I want to explain two things here. One, if you think there's some sort of libby-lib position, Daryl Gates was no one's liberal. He was very often criticized for being way too over the top in his aggressive policing. So it's just a matter of practicality. It's been in place since Gates. So what LA police have done for a long time is, look, if I got a real criminal, a guy who committed a burglary, rape, murder, etc., assault, we're going to turn him into the federal authorities so he can be kicked out of the country, okay? If I'm working on a case, I don't ask for people's papers, because if I ask for people's papers, then they're not going to want to talk to me. Then I can't solve the case. So that's bad policing. I don't want to do that. Number two, I busted someone on a minor charge, a misdemeanor or whatever. Then I'm in the business of trying to figure out, okay, who's going to get kicked out? Again, a lot of those misdemeanor guys roll on the other guys, and I don't want to ask for their papers and kick them out of the country. And it's just a giant administrative nightmare for us, and we don't want to get into that business. We didn't do it when the LAPD was super conservative. We're not going to do it now. And so we're not changing policy for Trump. We're just keeping the same policy. That's all.
I want to add to that as well. You talked about how it's practical, which it is, but it's about relativity, because they understand the value of having immigrants in their county. So if you need to know the numbers as to the immigrants that are undocumented in this country, 1 of the 11 million that are said to be undocumented happen to be in Los Angeles County. Just that county, right? So that is an enormous amount of undocumented immigrants to be in your county. So this sheriff understands what it takes in order to move forward as a Justice Department by relying and trusting the citizens of that area. And that just speaks volumes to this misunderstanding that people have that everyone in the country is against immigrants. No, the Trump fans who voted to try and get rid of this immigration policy have probably never ran into any immigrants because they don't understand it. They just like to turn on immigrants because that's the easy scapegoat. Whereas when you look at this example, this sheriff understands immigrants. He understands the usefulness of them in their county because there's a large majority of them there. It's the very same thing that happened in Brexit. Those that were voting against to actually leave the European Union, some of them had never even ran into an immigrant in their life, but they were voting for the United Kingdom to leave because they felt that immigrants were the problem. And when you look at the statistics, when you look at places like London, who absorbed most of the immigrants that were coming in to the UK, they voted to stay because they understood immigrants. They know that they're not these villains that everyone makes them out to be. Over 133,000 of the 330,000 immigrants that came into the UK in 2015 went to London. And you know the counties that voted for the United Kingdom to leave because they thought immigrants were the problem? There was actually a county that I put down an example here. It's called Castle Point. They voted 73% to leave the European Union. Do you know how many immigrants they took? 81. 81 immigrants. So that's these people that's causing all the problem in this county. They took 81 immigrants in, and that's why it's so amazing to me that people still think that these voters who are voting for Donald Trump to get rid of immigrants understand what they provide. They don't. They've probably never ran into them, and that's why this is a great example to bring up this point, because this sheriff understands his system, he understands the value that they provide, and therefore he's not going to adopt some policy that's going to completely eradicate what he's worked for and what he's been able to do somewhat successfully.
Yeah, so the Republicans have this thought in their head that, oh, the Democrats just want to do this because they want those guys to vote for them. Well, the undocumented immigrants can't vote. They're not citizens. So it's not that. It's just, as Francis points out, they're woven into the fabric of LA. So if the cops all of a sudden said, okay, we want to see all your papers, and we're not going to be like East Germany, and we're going to kick them out. One, you got their family members, And so that's a giant chunk of LA. Number two, they work here. The reason they are here is because they've got jobs. So a lot of people get mad about that, but not if you live in LA. If you live in LA and you removed 1 million people who are working here, you would have an unbelievable mess on your hands.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, all the other citizens in LA would be like, what happened? Wait, please come back. And it's not just LA. We've seen this across the country. They did this in the South. A couple of states, I think it was Georgia and Alabama, but you can Google it. But those states were like, all right, we're going to get tough on immigrants. We're going to kick them out, right? And then they kicked them out, and it turns out they were running all the factories. And the business started to plummet, and the citizens panicked. They're like, okay, we're going to bring them back.
I thought you were going to say they never even realized they left, because that would probably be another example. They're like, let's get rid of them, and then we're like, oh wait, we never even realized they were here, because we never actually ran into them or interacted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and by the way, that's the real reason why we have immigration issues, because all those businesses want to use them and pay very low wages. So immigration reform actually solves that, so that it's not a dark market anymore. It's actually above ground, and then you have to actually pay them a real wage, and then instead of them getting abused and lowering wages for you guys, we'd have some sort of parity where actually everybody's wages could rise. You know who makes independent media possible? You guys. Because of you, we can actually do this show free of any outside influence. That's what makes us so strong. Become a member today. tytnetwork.com/join. You are the media.